Great. So I'm just looking through the names of all the people that are on the call here so far, which is wonderful. Ashley and Elizabeth, Steve, everyone, welcome. It's a very strange sort of thing. A one-way conversation is not usually what I enjoy the most. And as Jennifer said, please do jump into the chat box and put your questions there. It's always great if someone just starts it off, because once one person puts a question in, we all get a roll on, which is fantastic. Jennifer, would you like me to start at this point?
That would be great. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So if you could introduce yourself, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the webinar. Welcome to Green School Bali. I am coming to you from Green School Bali via Sydney, Australia, which is where I am right now, and for a little bit of time while our campus is temporarily closed. So I am head of community at Green School. I get to look after a lot of things to do with the grown-ups of Green School. So that is my favourite area, and my privilege to kind of play that role at the school and in our community. We love the idea that Green School's not just for the kids, it really is for everybody that comes, all family members. So we can talk about that a little bit this morning. But I am also, well, I've been at the school for 9 years. We've been a family there for 9 years. And I've worked with the school for the past 4 or 5, I think, in various roles. So we came originally from Canberra, Australia, to the school. We've been working in Jakarta for a few years, and we came over to Green School on the recommendation of one of my sisters, who was working in with curriculum design in Australia, and was sent over to the school for a study tour, and popped over to Jakarta where we were living, and said, you should go and have a look at that school, and maybe if you can manage to go there for a year, it would be a fantastic experience. And, I remember it so well at the time. She said to me, the school was very young then, and she said, everyone in education is talking about what that school is doing in terms of where education needs to go. Excuse me. And, she said, more integrated learning, more hands-on learning, applying what we're learning to the real world, educating for sustainability. Everyone in education is talking about these things, and they're adding them on to curriculums and programs in schools around the world. It's all changing, but this school's designing it from the ground up that way, and you should go and have this experience. So we came for 12 months, sorry, can you hear me okay? I'm just looking at the notes now. Yeah, okay. So we came for a 12-month experience at Green School, 1 year, and that was 9 years ago. So I have 3 children. I find myself this year in the unique position of having one Green School graduate, a past Green School graduate, a current Green School graduate in year 12 this year, and a future Green School graduate. So I have my eldest son, Patrick, graduated 2 years ago. My daughter Eloise will graduate this year, and my youngest son Eamon is in middle school, in his last year of middle school, and will be going into high school next year. So my youngest was in early years when we started, so he was tiny, and so we've had experience with all the different neighbourhoods, primary, early years, primary, middle, and high while we've been at the school. So with all of that background, I know I am just giving one perspective on the school, but I have been there a long time as a parent and as part of the team there. So I really hope I'm able to answer your questions this morning. So once again, encouraging you to pop those questions in the chat so we can hear what it is that you really want to know about. I suspect by this point in time, you've probably all had a good look around the website. You've probably dived in and out of that several times, and some of you might have even come to visit the campus at some stage, which, opens up a whole new understanding of what the school is. The videos and the photos and so on from the school never really do it justice in terms of the campus. But while the campus is the thing that kind of blows our mind when we arrive there for the first time, or we visit, really it's the educational programs and the teachers that are, what is outstanding about the place in many ways. And I think among parents, we often talk about the fact that, we may have come for, the idea of the school and that amazing campus and having our kids immersed in nature like that. But what keeps us there more than anything are the teachers, the relationships with the students, and that beautifully holistic approach that they take to education. So I have, many stories and examples of the experiences for my children that I can share with you this morning. But it's also, I think, good to say also that, it's not perfect. Green School's not perfect. It's 12 years old. It's work in progress. And it can feel messy sometimes. It can feel a little chaotic sometimes. It's always a lot of things that we want to work on and we want to improve on. But it is truly, really a unique place and a very special place. And I for my own children, about to be 2 graduates, I really could never have asked for more from a school in terms of very well-rounded, curious, confident kids going out in the world. So that's kind of my general kind of overview, I guess, opening. And I'll just ask Jen now what you think from your experience in admissions you think would be most useful for me to share with parents.
Well, before you begin with that, Kate, I just wanted to mention that this is a Q&A session designed for prospective families. If you're a current Green School parent, we would love to have your input as well. I think there are a couple of current Green School families on this call right now. Thank you for joining. And if you have your own perspective to share, please just raise your hand in the little chat box there at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You can raise your hand, and that will signal for me to turn your mic and camera on from my end, and then you can have a chance to share your own perspective, and we would love that. So Kate, we have so many questions all the time, of course, in admissions. And I know what a lot of people are always very anxious about is housing, where to live, how to find housing, and so forth. And actually, our first question today is, how do we start looking for a rental house? How many months in advance? What kind of house might we hope to find? And that's a very common question. And you and I could both speak to that, but you've been here longer than I have. So if you want to just give that one a shot, that would be great.
Yeah. I learned the hard way about this. So this is one of the bigger challenges, to be honest. But you know what the truth is? Everyone that comes to the school gets there. They navigate it. They figure it out. Same with the visa situation. I know for many of us contemplating moving to Bali, Indonesia, that's a big question too. But we all figure it out in the end, and that's the good news. The piece in between now and getting settled into a house, it can be challenging. It's easy to forget, I think, sometimes that Bali and Indonesia is still an emerging economy. Things don't work there exactly the same as they might from our home base, wherever we're from. But the upside of that is so spectacular and so magical to be able to have this opportunity to be immersed in Bali and the culture and the people and all that goes with it. So we take the good with the bad there. On housing, generally our really keen recommendation for any family coming, is to look for something short term. That is the most precious piece of advice we can give. Yes. Look for something short term to start with, and then once you're there, take some time. It's probably not a good idea to lock yourself into something that you have not seen. So you want to be here, you want to look around, you want to inspect houses. You also want to check the commute time between the school and where a house might be. And also you're in a better position to negotiate, because almost everything in Bali is negotiable. So if not the price, then other things that you might want included in the house, Wi-Fi, or maybe you want to ask for a new oven or some walls to be painted. A lot of those sorts of things can happen when you're in that negotiation And the other piece of good news, folks, is that the Green School Bali parent community is your best resource for a lot of these questions. So taking something short term, and then once you're here in Bali, connecting with other parents and finding out what people know, tapping into the beautiful collective hive of the Green School community will answer almost any question on your mind. So short-term housing, look for something short-term. Once you're here, check out places live, check commute times. Also find out where other families within your child's kind of grade level or friendship circle might be living as well. That's very helpful also. And we can help with that too. There are definitely kind of enclaves of Green School families in different areas, north and south and immediately around the school as well. So there's lots of tips for that. So I hope that helps a little bit. I mean, what we're seeing right now is that villa prices do seem to be dropping naturally. That's to be expected. So obviously Bali's been very affected by the COVID situation and tourists not coming into the country. And so villa prices are going down. So much as we want to support the local economy and local landlords in Bali, I think we're going to find that for families coming in August, that those price points for villas are going to be quite a lot less than they were this time last year. So that's my advice on housing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's so easy to arrange short-term housing. There are just, hundreds or thousands of options available for short-term housing, whether you want to rent a villa or a hotel room or homestay or guest house, like all budget ranges are available. And, go to booking.com or Airbnb or whatever and make your short-term housing arrangements. You don't need to do that far in advance. I mean, there are plenty of options. And then once you're here, just take your time and talk to people in the community. Like Kate said, where your children make friends will very strongly influence where you want to live long term. So it doesn't hurt to give at least a couple of weeks to, start establishing some friendships, connect with other parents in your children's classes, and just get some advice on where to live.
Yeah. The
We
other
have
piece in
another.
there, Jen,
Oh,
is
sorry. Mhm.
the biobus schedule. So the school
Oh,
bus
yeah.
service
Good point.
are biobuses, so they have different routes as well. So that would be
Mhm.
something that once you're here and kind of settled somewhere temporarily, you'd want to check that out too, and that might impact where you choose to live.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, and we have another question about the medical facilities available specifically on campus for small and larger issues.
Yeah,
Good question.
that's a good question. Great. So we have a first aid station on campus. So we have 2 full-time nurses in our first aid station, and that's what they do, first aid. So it's not a medical clinic, but they do first aid treatment and then will refer. So students might need to be picked up by parents if they're unwell. But we also have actually an ambulance at the school also. Because we're a little far away, we're beautifully kind of tucked into a village in the jungle. So we have our own ambulance. So if a child, and it happens occasionally, maybe there's a broken arm or something, then they can be taken to the hospital. Parents are called, we meet there, or they arrive to campus first, or often they're already on campus because our parents are quite welcome to be on campus during the day. So, we have a very rugged campus, and it's something, again, I'm not sure if many of you have been to the Green School campus, but you would have seen images of it. And, we always say this is no accident that our campus is rugged. So it is by design and intent something that really gets us moving, works on our gross motor skills as we move around the campus, which our educators know is not only fantastic just for kids' gross motor skill development, but in fact for their cognitive development as well. And so we purposefully have stairs that are uneven and so on. Our kids are very sure-footed. They run. We don't have a lot of the rules that you might see in other schools around no running here or there. So obviously we take health and safety seriously, and we do have risk assessment, and we do have a health and safety audit and maintenance schedules and all of those sorts of things. But our kind of appetite for allowing kids to be free is higher than we might be familiar with in other schools. And that's a great thing to talk about and to think about if you're thinking about enrolling at Green School. To be honest, it's actually the adults that we worry about a little bit more. So we know many of us perhaps have spent many years in quite man-made environments for the bulk of our time. So between houses and offices and maybe a school in a city and shopping malls and whatever else, you actually realize you spend the vast majority of your time moving around a very purposeful, man-made kind of space where stairs are all the same size and they're anti-slip things and all of that stuff. So that ruggedness underfoot can take a little bit of getting used to. And as I said, it's the grown-ups that we worry about a little bit more. But I'm happy to answer more questions about health and safety and our clinic, but they treat minor scrapes, bruises. They will just administer first aid if there's something more serious, which doesn't happen very often, but on occasion. But we also have relationships with the hospitals in the area. So if someone needs to be transferred, we can do that. Again, the Hive, the collective parent and Green School Community Hive, has your answers in terms of accessing other healthcare outside of the first aid station at school. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a specialist, you would ask the Hive. If you're looking for where I could get a blood test, you would ask the Hive. And dental work as well. And so there's a lot of families that have been at Green School Bali for many years, and newer families also that have tried and tested different people, different clinics, different hospitals in Bali, and are able to give advice and recommendations on that. There was one other thing in relation to health and safety I was going to mention, which is, no, it's gone for the minute. Wellness and wellbeing generally is a big sort of part of the experience, I think, at the school as well, and being part of the community. So what we eat, how we move, how we pause. There are so many initiatives under those headings. I actually can't even begin to describe them probably. But the idea of wellness and mind, body and spirit is very much part of what we all experience, whether we're children or adults, as part of the community. And there's always a lot on and a lot on offer on that front.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Health insurance. That's right. Health insurance. So please do check out the options there for health insurance, even if you take something out temporarily to start with. And again, once you're at the school and in the community, you can explore other options, including, I think, through the school's health insurance provider. So the provider we, the school, use to cover our staff also has a policy plan available for families as well. But obviously essential to have at least emergency evacuation medical insurance if you don't have that, and perhaps a more comprehensive policy if that's what you're after. So that's a great thing to think about if you are planning to enrol in the school and move to Bali.
Great.
Yeah.
So injuries was a good segue to our next question about sports. How does the school view competition in sport and other activities?
Okay. We play competitive sport. We're part of a network of international schools in Bali that play in a competitive sport program together. If you have a child who is really, really keen and lives and breathes for competitive sport, Green School might not be the place for you. Having said that, we do offer that. We have a lot of kids involved in the competitive sport program, and that rolls through the year with different seasons. So, all the normal, I guess, kind of offerings around basketball and soccer, volleyball, swimming, athletics, and so on are all part of that annual kind of program. But we really love the idea of movement, well-being, and physical fitness, physical expression, which manifests in lots of different ways in the school. So competitive sport is one piece of our physical well-being program, but also other sport skills, but also movement, pausing, dance, meditation, jungle parkour, all kinds of different things.
Surfing.
Surfing, of course, stand-up
Surfing.
paddleboard, scuba diving, all of those things as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have a swim program that runs right across primary and middle school at the moment. And we love those programs, and that often helps our kids just get to a skill level we know they're safe in the water. And then they can move into and access some of those other sport, water-related sport and recreation offerings. Obviously, we're on an island, so we love getting into the ocean, and we know our kids do too.
Yeah. Um, I love the approach that Green School takes to sports. It's really open to everybody at all levels. Even beginners can join the, so-called competitive sports league. Um, I coached girls soccer one year. I think it was grade for soccer I was coaching, and I had a couple of girls on the team that year who had never even touched a soccer ball, and they were running in the wrong direction and kicking to the wrong people, but they still had a great time. They loved it, and the teammates were supportive, and it was really kind of a breakthrough experience for at least one of those students. And so while of course there are some students who are super competitive and, play sports every moment they get, we do have a very inclusive approach, and we don't, for the younger kids, we don't have tryouts. It's open to anybody who's willing to show up for practice and give it their best shot.
Yeah, and we
Um,
love our parents to help with that too. So parents
yeah,
as coaches, that's a great
very
way to get
true.
involved. But you're right, Jennifer. I know when my youngest entered his first competitive sport experience was soccer. I guess maybe he was grade two, I'm thinking. And yeah, his first outing, and he kicked. They call it an own goal. Is that what it's called? Sorry, I'm not very
Oh
sporty
no,
myself.
I'm
Where
not
you
either.
kick, yeah, you actually put the ball in the competitor's net
Oh yeah,
and steer a point for
yeah,
them. So he did that, and I could just see him out there on the field and his little face. And then his teammates just all came over and hugged him and told him it was
yeah, yeah,
okay. So I thought that
yeah,
was that was very sweet. Very
yeah.
sweet.
It's
But we
wonderful.
usually do quite well, having said all of that, in competitive sports. When my sister, the same one that recommended we come to Green School, she's a teacher, or she was a teacher, she's a midwife now, but she came over to the school a couple of years ago, and we were sitting in our community hall, and she said to me, Kate, I have never seen such a fit and healthy bunch of kids in one place. And I think that is true.
Yeah,
Our children are in pretty good shape, just moving around the campus, being in Bali, getting in the ocean,
very
eating
true.
great food, being healthy. So it's a beautiful thing to see that.
Yeah,
All
that's a
right.
great. Yeah, we have a couple of questions now about how parents can get involved. And Kate, you're the perfect person to answer that, considering
Yeah.
that you came to Green School initially as a parent and have had multiple roles since then.
Yes. Yes. When I came as a parent, the school was quite small, and I was looking for ways to get involved and see how I could contribute. Um, and just at that time, we decided, sort of as a community, to establish a parent association or a parent group, and that group is really there to kind of harness the collective energy of our parents, and also to help facilitate sort of regular conversations between the leadership team of the school and the parents in the community. So we sit down once a month, and we have a very open and frank exchange about what's going on, what we're loving, what we'd love to do differently, sharing ideas and so on. It's actually a lovely, lovely feature of the school that I think
Mhm.
where everyone's prepared to sit down and have those really honest but really respectful and kind of conversations. Um, But in terms of parents getting involved then, there's many, many different things people can get involved in, from everything from, reading in a classroom, coaching sport, through to getting involved in a hands-on project that maybe a whole class is working on, or mentoring an older student perhaps on their own individual project. So we love to get to know each and every one of our parents, to know what they're passionate about, what they're interested in, what skills or background they might have, and whether they have some time on their hands. So we try and do that through a fairly organised kind of process called the Parent Participation Program at the beginning of each semester, where we can help parents connect up with initiatives or projects or needs within the school. Teachers individually might ask for help on different things as well. And then sort of from a whole of community perspective, we have several events and initiatives across the course of the year, which we love our parents to be involved in as well. So on top of all of that, we often have parents will bring forward an idea themselves. And while we are never short of ideas at Green School, and not everything gets kind of on the yes, we're going to do it list, we love the ideas to come forward, and we love to talk about that. So we're never limited by just what's on offer right now. Parents as guest speakers, particularly in the high school and middle school, is also wonderful, and as special guests in primary school is also fantastic. So, but we'll have that discussion with all families coming in around what they're interested in, how they'd like to contribute and be involved. Parents are welcome to stay on campus all day. We have our own parent co-working, co-learning, co-creation space right on the campus. And that too was kind of born out of the idea that Green School's not just for the kids. And in fact, many of us find just being on the campus really energizing, and really opens up our creative thinking. And the school and the structures were designed that way for the students. So why not for us as adults have the opportunity to experience that as well. So there's a lot of programs run by parents for parents that are about learning and growing, lifestyles, wellness, and so on. And that all happens through our parent co-working, co-creating space, which is called The Bridge. And you can actually look that up, The Bridge at Green School. That will take you to the website, and you can see the sorts of things that are going on there, albeit in virtual form right now. But still a lovely kind of suite of offerings there for our parents.
Yeah, it's really amazing what creative things that parents come up with. So many initiatives have been started by parents, some of them directly related to the school, some of them to the wider community. Um, and one thing that I really love about Green School is that it's not just an experience for the children, it's an experience for the whole family. So our teachers are actively teaching Green School skills like collaboration and systems thinking and adaptability. Um, and we encourage parents to use these same skills as well. So I've heard you say it before, Kate, when parents come to the school with complaints, we say, great, what can you do about it? We'd love your thinking and your action on this. And so that kind of attitude towards learning is that it is a collaborative process, and we're solutions oriented, and we work together to solve problems and come up with new ideas. And so parents are really a great example of how that happens. So it's not just our students, it's our parents who embrace that approach to learning as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of
Um,
our best ideas come from the parents. There is no doubt
yeah,
about that. They are just
yeah.
a fantastic kind of font of wisdom, and different
Mhm.
skills and diversity. And we're just forever grateful to have that available to us, and for parents to be open and willing to help the school and to get involved and make things happen, not just give the idea,
Mhm.
as Jennifer said, sometimes. Having said all of that, there are some things in the school that are really kind of not negotiables as well. So things
Yeah.
that we really want our educators to hold and preserve in terms of some of the elements of learning for the students. So it's not like everything's up for kind of opening up all the time to talk about how we might do everything differently. But we, we hold those things precious that we know are sacred, and we need our educators to guide us on and, carry the flag for. And then there's a whole lot of other things that we can get involved with and we can play with and we can ideate on. So, yeah.
Yeah, great. Another good segue to our next question. With the uncertain outlook for Bali post the current crisis, is the school thinking about how it engages with the wider community and its role and programs with the community? And that's another area where parents are really shining right now, I think. You might have some examples of your own, Kate, but in my neighborhood in Bali, there are a lot of Green School families, probably several dozen, and they've come together along with other expat um, residents and started a food bank, a local food bank. So we collected money, and a few Green School parents went out and bought the supplies and organized with the local community and gave out these food kits, kind of like emergency supplies food kits, to dozens and dozens of families in the local community. And I'm hearing about similar stories all around Bali. And Green School families, the students are getting involved too. So Green School families are really taking this on as a personal mission to give back to the Balinese community that has given all of us so much by welcoming us with open arms and onto their beautiful island. Um, Kate, do you have idea, any other examples of things that families or the school has thought about in
Yeah.
those regards?
Yeah, it's been, I mean, in some ways not at all surprising how our community, whether it's teachers, staff, or parents, have found ways during this time to support others. It doesn't surprise me at all. Having said that, it is quite stunning to see some of the things that are happening. And as Jennifer said, the food bank idea, which was started by a group of Green School parents, that's now in one area that's now been replicated by other groups of Green School parents in different neighbourhoods, which is fantastic. We also have a group making different, more traditional herbal tonics, jamus, they're called here, immune boosting drinks and so on, that they're making and distributing in their neighbourhoods. So some really beautiful ideas and projects, and I know they're going to keep going on. We have some people making face masks as well, because face masks are difficult to get here, and of course they're helpful to everyone to just help us not touch our faces during this time. And giving those out in children's sizes as well as adults, and made from upcycled fabrics as well, which is very Green School. So that's lovely. Ordinarily, one of the things about Green School Bali that is not perhaps really well known, but for those of us who've come and particularly stayed for a while, is one of the most impactful parts of the experience, is the school's commitment to being local. Now, again, I put in front of that the caveat that, we're not perfect on this front, or any front for that matter, but, we haven't always gotten this right. But as someone that has had my children in other international schools abroad, I've never seen a school commit the way Green School Bali does to being local, connecting locally, respecting, finding ways to learn from and share with our local neighbours and the community in Bali and Indonesia, in fact. Our school gives more scholarships to Balinese children than every other school in Indonesia combined gives to Indonesian children. So full scholarships for our Balinese students. We have an Indonesian intern program. We do teacher training for Indonesian teachers in local schools on how to bring sustainability into their classrooms. We also have our huge Cool Connection program, which is our kind of local outreach and integration program. So for Balinese and local neighbourhood children that don't come to the school on full scholarship, they can come to our after school program. And through that, we have unearthed and discovered all kinds of ways for our children and us as adults to make connections with our local communities through different projects, including a whole rice cycle program, which gets us out in the rice paddies with our feet in the mud and our hands in the earth, and side by side with local people, learning the whole process of the rice cycle and all the beautiful cultural and spiritual elements that go with that by tradition. So I think I really thank you for actually asking that question, because, as I said, I think it's a very, very special piece of Green School Bali that is not the thing that most people automatically might think about when they're contemplating what Green School can offer my child or my family. But so thanks for the opportunity to speak to that. For many of us that have been here, for any length of time, some of our best friends are people in our Balinese community, either at work or other parents, and definitely with the children as well. They really hold the heart of the school. And as other international families might come and go variously, those kids come in usually as young children, those scholars, and they go all the way through to graduation. So year after year, they're here. Mm-hmm. They hold the spirit and the culture of the school so, so beautifully. So thanks for that question.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, so we only have about 10 minutes left, and I can tell you right now, we're not going to get to everybody's question. I'm sorry. We'll do our best. If there's anything that we don't answer, just email me and I'll just answer you directly. We have another question, a couple of questions around online learning. So let's see, where did that question go? Yeah, how are we transitioning right now to online learning?
Okay, well, knowing that there's
the question now.
Knowing there's a few questions there, I can't see the questions, Jennifer, but
okay,
so
I'm
I don't
trying
know
to
how
get
many
them.
are there. But yeah, okay, no problem. But let me answer that one just quickly. So obviously, like a billion, literally, other kids around the world, our children are now on a distance learning program. Our teachers have just totally blown my mind in how quickly they have pivoted. They are nothing if but creative and innovative, our teachers, which has really come to the fore right now. So getting programs online that are not only keeping kids up to speed kind of academically, but have plenty of the Green School magic in there has been the challenge and the opportunity for our teachers. So we're seeing some amazing creative things coming out, including making sure that kids have plenty to do that doesn't involve being on a screen, and that also for our younger students, the parents are being particularly supported in this transition during this phase, because they obviously play a key role, and we're incredibly sympathetic or empathetic and sensitive to the fact that everybody has work and lives and other commitments, and so how everybody juggles things is tricky. So our basic approach is to make sure that we have a nice mix of some preset expected pieces of engagement or work, and then some optional pieces. So we really want to give flexibility to families to work out what their day looks like, and in fact what their work looks like, giving them plenty of choices so that they are choosing things that work for their family, their household, by way of timing, but also the actual activity. Making sure that we are really, really zoned in on keeping the teacher and student relationship nourished during this time is so important for the actual ability for kids to learn, but also for kids feeling safe and secure during what is quite a difficult time. For the upper parts of the school, middle school and high school, it's been an easier transition because those kids are much more kind of tech savvy and were already working with at least some elements of learning that were screen-based as part of the mix. But that's been the general approach. And I think, as Jennifer said, maybe that's something we can get back to you more on. We actually have a guidebook that's quite comprehensive. Jennifer, is that available to our families?
The Living in Bali guide?
No, the Green School Everywhere.
We're
guide?
working on one that's available to prospective
Okay.
families. Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
ready soon.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we do have a document already. So our program is called Green School Everywhere. It's running right now, and we're iterating and improving it as we go, literally day to day. And we want all the feedback from parents and students so we can make it as good as it can be to work all together again back on campus. But Jennifer and I can have a talk about how to provide you with a bit more information so you can really take a bit more of a peek at what that looks like for us.
Hmm.
Great
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
Yeah, and so we have a couple of questions just related to the current situation, which of course we don't know how things will unfold. So far, Bali has fared very well. We're very grateful. Things could change. We can't predict the future. But we have questions about school starting in August and whether there could be a delay, and if so, for how long. Again, we don't know yet, but Kate, maybe you could talk about various scenarios that are under discussion.
Yeah. So our plan and our expectation at this point is that we're open in August. The campus is open in August as normal, and it's going to be extra special to have everyone there on the campus again. So we're already thinking about our kind of welcome back or welcome to campus party. So we're getting creative about what that might look like. So that's the plan, but of course we need to prepare ourselves. Should things not go to plan and we can't open immediately on day one of the new school year, in which case we will continue after some revision and refreshing of things over the break. We can continue to offer the distance learning program until campus is open. And so that could be, maybe we need to offer that for a few weeks if there's a delay to getting campus open, or if families want to take some time or are having some difficulties getting themselves to Bali, they can start on the distance learning and then make their way to Bali when they can or when it suits them. So we're just thinking about all of those different options, and particularly how we can support new and incoming families, as well as our continuing families. But everybody wants the campus open and to be back there. But as Jennifer said, it's difficult to predict. That's still quite a while away just yet, but we really don't know. So we have to wait and see. But we do want to keep everyone updated, and every week will look slightly different, and we will get a clearer picture over the next few weeks for sure. So I'm sure Jennifer will be wanting to keep you all updated on how things are looking. I understand it's a
Yeah,
very important question, and it's a big deal for all of our families,
yeah,
continuing and new.
yeah, of course. And we
Yeah,
have, my understanding is we have over 200 Green School families on island right now who obviously very anxiously are awaiting campus reopening. And so we
yeah,
very much want to reopen as soon as we possibly can. And, but knowing that things could go differently, we are creating contingency plans and
yeah,
we'll have more flexibility than usual in our admissions process. Understanding that if you can't be, even if we do open campus by August, if there's something in the way of you arriving in August, travel restrictions or something of that sort, then we will be flexible and our teachers will be prepared for late arrivals and um, so we will have all these things in place for various situations and various scenarios that families from different countries are facing, because it's not just about what happens here in Bali, it's also about what happens in your home country and what you're able to do, what restrictions are in place.
yeah. Such a good point, Jennifer. And so really thinking at a very individual level,
Mm,
about what's going to work for families and how we can support that and provide flexibility, but also find ways to connect and start to feel that
Yeah,
we are part of one community, even if everyone can't
exactly.
be here from the first day of the new school
Exactly.
year. Mm.
Yeah, and we have a, a beautiful orientation program. It's not just a, half day program. There are activities going on for parents to get connected and so forth that go on for several days after the start of school. And so we will have, if we need it, if at that time we will have other ways of connecting virtually or so forth, or maybe, more than one orientation or something. We'll do everything we need to do to make sure that when families arrive, they're able to be settled and make those connections, and their children can transition easily to the classroom and so forth. Um, and we're about out of time. I just want to mention, if you haven't applied yet for August, we are still accepting applications, and we're processing them as quickly as we can. Um, If your application is under review right now and you haven't heard anything from us lately, you're welcome to just check in with us. Send me an email. Pancha, my colleague, and I are check email all the time, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, and we'll check in on your children's applications. Also, for those who well, I should say, uh, whoever ends up being admitted, we will have lots of more information available to you. If you already have an application in process, or if your child has already been admitted, you're welcome to join our Green School Bali New Families Facebook group. It's a private group only for new families and a selection of continuing families who are their classroom ambassadors and uh, leaders in the Green School Parent Association who are there to help you answer your questions and so forth. And all those questions about housing and uh, health insurance, they're the ones who can help you. So that's a great way to connect, as well as on that same Facebook group, we'll keep updating documents as we have more information about the COVID situation and how that affects our school and travel and everything. So, um, if I didn't read your question, I'm really sorry. We wanted to get to everybody's, but this always happens. We have questions at the end that we don't get to. Feel free to email me. I'm just going to type in my email address right here. Um, and this will go to me and my colleague, Ibu Pancha, and one of us will get back to you.
Yeah.
We're also happy to set up one-on-one Skype calls if you have, more complicated questions or things that you need to talk through. That's no problem.
Yeah. Otherwise, as Jennifer said, please do go on the Facebook group, even if you're not a big fan or user of Facebook. Now's might be a good time to sign up
Yeah,
and get onto that new parents group, because it is a great way to ask questions and get answers, not just from one perspective, but from several. And it's also a fantastic way for our applicant and incoming families to connect with each other. So you sort of become a community within the community before you even arrive. So I'll say
exactly.
goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning and listening to the one-sided conversation. I hope that you do make your way to Bali and that we do get to talk in person and have an actual dialogue. That would be lovely, and I would look forward to that. So thanks very much for having me this morning. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you,
And
Kate.
reach out, people. Yeah,
Yeah. All right, everybody, stay well. Thanks so much.
thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.